And at the heart of the film, for me, really was the friendship between Audrey and Morgan, which I loved, and really bring out the best in each other. And you guys must have got to know each other pretty well by now. I just wondered what you like best about each other or appreciate most about each other.
Oh, gosh. I can honestly say I love everything about Kate.
Oh my gosh.
I think I get you pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
I think you're fun and supportive and nice and sweet and genuine and honest. And
you're
you know exactly who you
the
are.
Same.
Thanks, love.
And I just love how vivacious and funny you are. And the way that you see the world and how you talk about it and how you...
Thanks, love.
Great.
I feel
I'm
the
sorry.
same about you.
Yes, I just have to say, that's how I feel.
And that was a beautiful moment. Although it's a comedy, the action sequences in this are brilliant, so hard-hitting and really thrilling, which is quite unexpected for a comedy. What did you enjoy about that aspect of it?
Yeah, I was really excited to be working with these guys on this one. It was, obviously we've got Gary Powell, who's worked on all the Bond movies and Bourne and Indiana Jones and a whole plethora of action movies. So it was really fun to get into that world. And it's a very real, high-stake situation. You know, it's not sort of tongue-in-cheek, though there is a comedy element to it. But, you know, people get hurt, people get killed. And I think that's, you know, that juxtaposition with the comedy really makes it work.
To me, when I read the script, and also, of course, when I saw the finished product, that was the thing that made this such an incredible movie, because normally with comedies they go, oh yeah, the important things make it funny, and then we'll kind of, you know, they kind of phone in action a lot of the time. I mean, it's rare when it's sort of, you know, double fists, you know, like you have great comedy, great action. So it functions on two levels. You laugh throughout the whole thing, but you're also kind of following this very compelling, you know, action-driven storyline, which you know, I thought was one of the film's great successes.
And there's a really funny scene in the film where Mila, your character, meets Justin's character, and they sort of bond over the jukebox, trying to find the worst tracks on there, and Crash Test Dummies, which, a bit unfairly, I think, because I like that track, gets played. If you each had to pick a guilty pleasure, name a guilty pleasure track, what would you choose and why?
Guilty pleasure, not bad. Guilty is at age of 17. I think for me is definitely, I don't know why, but you know, when MySpace, do you ever use MySpace and you used to be able to pick a song to play when the MySpace page came up? That was my song. So I guess you next.
For me, I think would be Backstreet's Back by the Backstreet Boys.
They were just on the news yesterday
Really?
performing at the Tea Show, and I was watching them, and I was like, Backstreet's Back. I was like,
It recalls a time in my life when my best girlfriends, who are still my best girlfriends, were violently obsessed with the Backstreet Boys.
Really?
And I didn't quite share in their obsession, but I had to in order to fit in with my friends.
more so than NSYNC.
Yes. And I loved NSYNC. I loved NSYNC,
What?
and I loved them both. But they were very Backstreet Boys, and I was like, guys, you know, NSYNC has a lot to offer as well. That's all I'm saying.
And what kind of training did that involve for you? Did you have any favorite kind of stunt moves or sequences that you had to learn?
No, we actually had Gary Powell. I didn't train for this movie because it wasn't one of those movies where I had to, like, you know, live with a CIA guy for 7 months and see how they worked. It was Gary Powell was our stunt coordinator, who's, as you know, done a bunch of the Bond films, and his family has done Bond films, and his father was so he's comes from a long line of English stuntmen. And he was fabulous. Like he didn't treat it any differently than you know, one of these big action movies. And he just said, we're going to make the action really good in this. You know, we're going to ask you to do a lot of stunts. We're going to ask you to do this, and we did. You know, and it was a lot of it was practical. It's not a lot of CGI or sweetening and, you know, adding more fire or anything like that. So the stuff looks really good. You know, so it, you know, and in the middle of that, you know, Susanna was, you know, really pressing the comedy to sort of come to the surface.
And what sort of training was involved from your point of view? And did you have any favorite sort of stunt moves or sequences that you had to do?
Yeah, you know, we actually initially started work straight away on the Cafe Xerxes sequence. It was a really big sequence. We shot on that for maybe 3 days, and then a lot of second unit as well. Basically destroyed the place. And there was a lot of pâtissière going up in the air, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed that sequence. Obviously, the gymnasium was another great sequence as well. That I got to do a bit of running and jumping parkour, so it was good fun.
And Kate and Mila are hilarious in the film. What were they like to be around, and were there any moments where it's kind of a little bit hard to keep a straight face during
Yeah.
takes.
Fortunately, I don't have to do much of the sort of the joking. They do they do the heavy lifting for as far as comedy goes. And so when obviously they're on them, you're just seeing the back of my head. But a lot of times my face is twisting, and I'm not particularly good at not corpsing in the middle of takes.
And Mila and Kate are so funny in the movie. I just wondered if there were any times where it was particularly hard to keep a straight face when you were working with them.
I think you see it mostly in the movie, it's so hard being the straight guy. And I think that's the great part. And the relief I had is playing Sebastian, that, he's quite buttoned up British spy. But throughout the movie, he loosens up and begins to really enjoy their company and the friendship. So any moments when I was corpsing, I could kind of use that.
And Gillian Anderson, of course, you had some great scenes with her. She's much loved, isn't she, in the UK? And what did you particularly enjoy about spending time with her?
Gillian Anderson should probably be the Prime Minister of the UK. She's the Queen. She came on and everyone was just in awe of her. She's funny and amazing at her job. We're all big fans. And she provided a great boss to Sebastian.
You guys are such a compelling and really lovable on-screen duo in this movie. Who is your own favourite on-screen duo, apart from yourselves, obviously?
I have to say, and not just because you're from the UK, either French and Saunders or David Williams and Matt Lucas.
Boy, you went highbrow in this
I'm
one.
sorry, well, they are.
Wow, that's.
I'm so sorry.
I got nothing now. What am I gonna do? Like Scooby over here? Like where am I gonna go with this duo? God, I don't know. Boris and Natasha, guys.
There you go.
That's my favorite duo.
Mila, Kate, thanks very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey You Guys!